everyone! Today's video is going to be something a little bit different to what I've done before. It's going to be something that's slightly more, well, quite a lot more personal to me, and it's just something that I feel quite strongly about for myself and other people dealing with the same kind of things. So I thought I would do a really kind of stripped back video of me just telling you my story, basically. I think for me personally as well, it's a good way to, I don't know, get it out there and just, I kind of don't care who knows now. So yeah, I guess I'd better get started. Okay, so basically this is what I've been through. It's not the same experience as everyone else's. Everybody's experiences with these issues are completely different. This is just me personally. Something that is quite a controversial subject, I think, actually. Not many people actually speak openly about it, more so now that actually famous people have come out with their kind of issues. So yeah, a few years ago, I'm not 100% sure on when it started really, but I developed an eating disorder and depression. This was probably back in, like, from what I can remember, I started feeling like this when I was, I don't know, maybe 17, so nearly 3 years ago now. I haven't found out the starting point yet. I'm in the middle of trying to figure all that stuff out. But yeah, I developed an eating disorder and depression. Now, being a dancer, I think that was probably a huge issue for me because I threw myself headfirst into the professional industry, basically. Obviously attending a private dance college. I was training every single day. It was really, really intense, and I've been dancing my whole life, so I've kind of been surrounded by that industry for a long, long time. And I guess a few years ago it started to really, like, something clicked in my head, and I thought, right, the only way I can do this, the only way I can be good enough is if I'm skinny. Like, I'm not a ballerina, never would be a ballerina, just because that's not my strong point. But still, I know there's a lot of ballerinas out there who struggle with eating disorders because there is such a huge pressure to be thin and underweight and just pure muscle, basically. And somehow, for some reason, that kind of mindset, I kind of got into that mindset that I had to be thin to be good enough. So I started actually restricting what I was eating. I purged a few times, but that just wasn't, I couldn't do that to myself because, I mean, for me, this issue is like in two parts because, like, I know all the medical side of it. I know the kind of, like, consequences to having an eating disorder. I've had a few people who I know who have gone through a similar thing, if not worse, actually a lot worse than what I've gone through. Yeah, I know all that. I know it's really bad for you. I know it is extremely dangerous and it is a form of self-harm, basically. And I think, for me, that wasn't actually the starting point. I knew that in my head I wanted to be skinny because I thought, oh, that'll make me better at dancing. I'll look like a dancer. That means I'll get better for some reason, which I know now is completely irrational. But that somehow got into my head and I wasn't eating as much as I should have been. I would go days with just eating, I don't know, a few, like, digestive biscuits and a cup of tea or 2 cups of tea. I would kind of drink my calories. I wouldn't eat 3 meals a day. But because I was living at home at the time when it started, it was quite difficult for me to kind of keep it to myself and kind of hide it, I guess. But somehow I managed to do that. I did that for maybe like 2 years or something, and I lost a lot of weight. I was extremely thin. I was underweight. I had low, iron. I was vitamin D deficient. I had all sorts of problems, but I didn't actually tell anyone about this until, I don't know, a year ago now. Last Christmas, I think. Yeah, last Christmas I decided to tell someone about what I was dealing with because it got to the point where I felt so isolated and so alone. I'd pushed everyone away from me. I'd stopped eating, basically. I was just having a really rough time with it, and I scared myself, to be quite honest with you. So I then came out about my issues and told my ballet teacher at college, as I'd known that she'd had previous issues with a similar kind of thing. So she was actually the first person that I told about what I was going through. And in turn, I then proceeded to tell other people. And yeah, I just felt way too alone to be doing it like by myself. I couldn't pull myself out of it without someone else's help, basically. So I then told my mum, and like I went to the doctors and found out I actually had quite a few like medical issues from like not eating, basically. So that was when I decided to tell somebody, and from that I went to therapy and counselling, and I've been to the doctors. But obviously since last Christmas, the whole time I've been at college doing an incredibly intense hardcore training course in dance. So obviously I couldn't just like not look in the mirror, because you're in a dance studio, there's walls and walls of mirrors and you're looking at yourself constantly all day every day. And I was just getting too kind of bogged down with the fact that I didn't look right in the mirrors, I wasn't skinny enough. I then began to feel like I wasn't good enough, I wasn't worthy enough to be there. And in turn my dance actually suffered, because from my lack of eating, basically, I lost a lot of my muscle strength. As medically, when you stop eating, your body then turns on itself and kind of starts to eat away at its own muscle. I think that's partly why it's so dangerous, because of like all the muscle loss, and eventually it starts eating away at your organs and you shut down. Luckily I didn't get to that point, because I scared myself from feeling the way I did. So I got help before I got to such extremes. Also my depression I had at the same time. I think now I've been in therapy and all sorts of counselling things, I've kind of figured out that actually my way of dealing with the depression was with an eating disorder, whereas some people, I don't know, would deal with it with self-harm or other kind of like outlets, I guess. And mine happened to be with food. And I was feeling incredibly down, incredibly low. I wasn't enjoying where I was, basically, which that's why I knew something was wrong, because I was in a dance college, I was with all my friends, like I was doing what I love, basically, what I've grown up to love, and I was constantly not feeling like I should be there, and I wasn't happy. So eventually at the end of the year I then decided to take like the massive step, I guess, to take a year out from my training, which is for me a massive deal, because I'm terrified of like losing my technique and my strength and everything, and I know a year out of training, after that like much of an intense course, you're going to lose your strength, you're not going to be doing that all day every day, and that terrified me. So having to make the decision to actually leave college to come into more of a full-time kind of medical recovery, I guess, was a huge deal for me. But that is what I've done this year. I've actually come home. I'm living back with my mum now, my sisters, and I've gone to numerous kind of counsellors, and I've seen the doctor about my nutrition and my mental health and everything. And I'm slowly on the path to recovery, I guess. So I then can go back to college next year, continue my course and actually enjoy it and grab it with both hands, instead of being constantly distracted by everything else that's been going on. So yeah, that's basically where I'm at now. But as I said, everyone's experiences with depression and eating disorders and any kind of mental health issue is completely different. No one's is the same, and I just thought I would share mine in case anyone kind of, if anyone, I know what it's like to feel so alone and that you can't talk to anyone. And this is actually really difficult for me to sit and talk to a camera, knowing that I'm then going to upload it to the internet, and I don't know, tons and tons of people will be watching it, and they'll be hearing my story and my side of things. Because I've never been one to be very open, but this is something I feel really strongly about for myself and for other people, because I think it's such a kind of controversial subject that not a lot of people actually come out and talk about their issues anymore. And one of the main things, it sounds really cliche, one of the main reasons I watched Demi Lovato's Unbroken documentary, which is when she first came out about all her issues, like her self-harm and eating disorder and bipolar and everything else. And that actually kind of made me think, like, crap, yeah, I need to talk to someone about this. It is possible to get better. It's going to take time. There are days that are going to suck, that you're not going to want to do it anymore, that you want to give up, that you're alone, and actually you're not. Since I've told people, I've found out that I'm not alone at all. Like, since I've told my friends or people, they've all come back and spoken to me about what they've been through, and actually a lot of it is very similar, and so many people go through these kind of things, particularly teenagers. I know a lot of girls go through like body image issues and eating disorders, but also boys do too. And I think that's one thing that really gets to me, is that the boys are always overlooked, because apparently eating disorders and self-harm are all kind of girls' kind of issues, when actually they're not. A lot of people go through what I'm going through, and worse, like a lot worse. I've been quite lucky that before I got to that stage, I opened up about my issues. But yeah, I just really wanted to share that with you. And anyone who's watching this, if anyone has any kind of problems, or they just need someone to talk to, like, I'm always going to be here. I'm on YouTube, like, telling the whole world about my story, and I understand what you're going through. I know people say that, like doctors, and they're like, oh, we know how you feel, and actually they don't have a clue, because they've probably never dealt with anything to that extreme before. And I've been lucky enough to have the friends and the family to support me through all of this. But if there is anyone out there who hasn't got anyone to talk to, I'm here. You are loved. You're worth it completely. You are 100% worth it. What you look like or how you feel about yourself should not be such a massive issue in your life. It should not be something that completely controls the way you act or live your life, really. I then had to sacrifice what I love, my career, my whole life basically, in dance because of those issues. And I know if I hadn't spoken out about them, they would have got a lot worse. So yeah, as I said, I know what you're going through, I know how you feel. If you do need anyone to talk to, I am here. You can always just drop a comment or private message me on YouTube, anything. I'll link my Twitter below as well, where you can, I don't know, tweet me or private message me. And yeah, you can just talk to me about absolutely anything. So yeah, this was quite a big deal for me, like talking to you guys and the camera about incredibly personal issues. But I felt like I've wanted to do it since I started this account, so now I've done it, that's it. I know it hasn't been, for some of you, you might not find this video very interesting at all, but it's just something I wanted to share, so yeah. But on a happier note, I will be back next week with a video that will be more back to normal and something slightly on a lighter note, I hope. Again, just keep liking videos, subscribing, keep commenting if you want to ask any questions or ask how I dealt with these issues or how my recovery is going, then feel free. Again, I'll be completely open about it. So yeah, I will see you guys next week, I guess. Bye!